Welcome to the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast, brought to you today by the Precision Metal Forming Association and the PMA's Educational Foundation. Today our guest is Diego Tamburini. He is the Senior Industry Strategist with Autodesk, and I'm sure most of you know that name. Diego, thank you for being on here today. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Thank you, Dean, for having me, and good day, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So as Dean introduced me, I'm a Senior Industry Strategist for Design and Manufacturing at Autodesk. If you don't know Autodesk, Autodesk is a software vendor, and we make software for people who make things. So the type of things that our customers make could be buildings, products, or movies, representing the three main industries we cover, AC, manufacturing, and media and entertainment, respectively. We were founded in 1982 with the introduction of AutoCAD, a CAD software that is still the most popular CAD tool in the world. And specifically in manufacturing, we develop software tools used by engineers and designers to design, simulate, and visualize products. We also have software tools to plan, simulate, and drive the manufacturing process. So we have customers in all segments of manufacturing: industrial machinery, automotive, aerospace, consumer electronics, etc. And we have a strong tradition of innovation. We're constantly looking at new ways to design and make things. For example, we are aggressively pursuing modern technologies such as 3D printing, machine learning, smart robotics, etc. And last tidbit is that our software is sold exclusively as subscription. We started this transition from perpetual licenses to subscriptions about 2 years ago. And this transition has been completed. So now we sell exclusively subscriptions.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you being here today, Diego. Diego and I actually had met a while back at an event that was taking place at FabTech, and there was a roundtable discussion group that was headed by Autodesk to get industry insight into how things were changing. So I wanted to throw that in there because I think it's important to understand that Autodesk does work to constantly look into the future and see what's going on, what transitions are taking place, and what people want out of their products. So I really appreciate Diego taking the time to be here today. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
One of the aspects that we have with the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast is we allow the audience to get a glimpse into the future of design and manufacturing. Diego, how do you see the landscape changing for design and manufacturing in the next 5 years?
Yeah, so we like to group the forces and the trends that are shaping the landscape and that are impacting the way that people design and make things into three main groups or categories. So the first one is that the means of design and production are changing. So under this category, there are the things that are happening is that there is a democratization of the means of design and production. So now the tools and the equipment to design and make things are available more broadly, and not just to the biggest corporations in the planet. And so democratization of the means of design and production. There is also under this category, there is a more collaborative culture of innovation. People have different attitudes towards sharing and reusing IP. There are, of course, new production methods, obviously 3D printing, additive, hybrid manufacturing, and we're starting hearing more and more about bio manufacturing. And then the availability of the cloud and the sheer high-performance computing available to everybody is kind of making things like generative design a possibility, where we tell the computer what we want to achieve instead of telling it what to do. So all these trends is kind of a mixed bag of technical trends, business trends is what we put under the means of design and production are changing. The second group of forces and trends that we identify is that the product intelligence is changing. So there is more and more value in the products. It's being delivered in software instead of hardware. And as a result, for product designers and manufacturers, there is an increasing convergence of hardware and software. So software is becoming more and more of a first-class citizen in manufacturing. And also these products are increasingly interconnected with each other, with back-end systems, with other products. And this is opening the possibility to a slew of attached aftermarket services, such as predictive maintenance, product as a service, etc. So these are the things that under the product itself and how products are becoming more intelligent and have more software in them. The third group of forces and trends is about the customer demands. The customer demands are changing, and the customers are demanding more personalization and customization. They are demanding upgradable products, so products that get hardware products that get better with software upgrades over the air. The attitudes towards sharing and owning products is also changing from kind of spearheaded by the sharing economy, guys like Uber and Airbnb. That type of mentality is bleeding into hardware products, where someone does not necessarily have to own a product to do something anymore. The other aspect of customer demand is that customers are demanding more and more sustainability, social and environmental responsibility, and they are willing to pay a premium for that. And some customers are choosing one product versus another, increasingly on the basis of their sustainability and social responsibility. And the last one on their customer demand is that customer demand is increasingly fragmenting. It's fragmenting geographically. We don't have the bulk of demand coming from 2 or 3 countries. It's much more fragmented, and it's also fragmented in a generational aspect. So we still have the baby boomers, the millennials, and now the Gen Xers, and they all have different expectations and preferences. So again, that's how we see the industry changing in these 3 groups. The means of design and production are changing. 2, product intelligence is changing, and 3, customer demands are changing.
That's pretty interesting. I agree with that. As a whole, we're always looking to the future, and we're trying to respond to where a moving target basically is. But you guys have put in a lot of research into trying to follow those trends and be a little bit ahead of the curve of where that's going. And I applaud you guys for your ability to do that, because you've done very well to respond to customers' needs over the years. Let me ask you this: how do you see that Autodesk will be changing over the next 5 years in order to respond to some of these changes? So
obviously, we will continue with the culture of innovation, and that's becoming more and more important because of the speed of change. So we'll always be looking at horizons 1, 2, and 3 from research in the longer term to what can we deliver today. But as far as changes, something that we're starting to do is that and we recognize the critical value of data, both for our customers and for ourselves. And we want to become a customer company. We want to use data to understand what our customers want and what our customers need, and anticipate what they want and need, and also enable our customers to extract similar insight about their customers in turn. So a lot of our focus will be on data, how to collect the right data, how to extract insight from that data, and like I said, both for ourselves, the data about our customers to engage more directly with our customers, and for our customers to engage with their customers. So data will be a big theme in our strategy in the next 2-3 years. And also, we will instill artificial intelligence and machine learning in pretty much everything we do. So we are set out to disrupt the way people design things by using AI and machine learning techniques to generate designs, not only for products, but for entire factories and supply chains. So the two big themes for change in the next 3 to 5 years for us will be the data centricity and AI and machine learning for us.
Great. You mentioned earlier about predictive responsiveness in your product. Do you think that, as far as it being predictive, is that something that you see more manufacturers looking for? Are they asking for no longer to be responsive, but to be predictive in not only out of their software, but also out of their hardware?
Absolutely. In fact, that's one of the, if you will, the low-hanging fruits of connecting your products to the Internet of Things, is that by collecting data about how your product is performing and how your customers are using your product, you can reason over this data. And since it's your own product and you design it and you made it, you know better than anybody else how this product is supposed to perform. So you have the expertise and, if you will, the secret sauce to be able to offer services and to understand that when the performance is out of range, or based on these 3 or 4 parameters, predict that the product is gonna has an 80% probability to fail in the next 3 days. So that type of insight about the data that is coming from your products is gold. So manufacturers are increasingly realizing of this opportunity, and even in some segments like industrial machinery and specialty vehicles, this is actually becoming a competitive differentiator. So the ones that can provide this type of attached services have a leg up with respect to the ones who can't.
Right. I've seen that lately. There's been a shift. Just going back 10 years ago, everybody was heading towards big data and gathering of that information. The problem for such a long time is that it took too long to react to that data, that the information was either outdated or it was no longer beneficial to act upon that information. And I think you guys seem to have an idea of where some of that is going. What technology do you see shifting across manufacturing, and what improvements do you see on the horizon? So the improvements that we see in the horizon, they have to do a lot about how people
extract insight from the data and reason over data. So again, I'm stressing the critical role that data and data analytics will play. So one obvious improvement is that we will just see better designed products. For example, things like generative design, if you paired it with AI in a closed loop type of scenario, because you are generating and considering thousands of design alternatives and reasoning over them instead of just a couple, will result in products that not only meet the specs, but are the best possible design that you can get. So that by itself will result in just more innovation, better design products. And then there is also a big improvement, in our opinion, in reducing waste, removing the barriers between design and manufacturing, where currently there is a lot of waste and lost time and resources just going back and forth between the two disciplines, making the products and the processes more efficient. So that's one aspect. The other is manufacturing companies will be better positioned to engage better with their customers. So the customer experience in general will be greatly improved. Like I said before, because your products are connected, you know exactly how your customers are using the product. You can predict new features or things that they may need. The customers will also get what they want, more customized and personalized products to their specific needs. So I would say that those two, better products and a better customer engagement, and both thanks to the data and the insight that the data provides.
Right. Do you think that there are going to be new challenges that you're going to be seeing, and what are some of the challenges that you think that are going to be coming down the road from over the next 5 years?
Yeah, they'll have to do with the data. So one of course is build up the skills in manufacturing companies to learn how to understand and extract insight from data. So that's a challenge, and manufacturers are encountering that challenge today already. The other one, of course, is cybersecurity. If you're moving data back and forth, that by itself increases the surface area where your IP and your operations can be disrupted by hackers or people snooping on your intellectual property. Cybersecurity is key. And the other one is about the change of the nature of work. When we're adding automation and artificial intelligence and machine learning and robotics, the role that humans play will change. So we as an industry, we will need to adapt to this change, and sticking to the past will only result in job losses, unfortunately. So adapting to the rapid change of the nature of work is the third big challenge that I see coming.
Speaking of challenges to workforce, as far as workforce development goes, how do you see this shifting during the future here when we start looking at manufacturing? Because it is a huge problem that almost every manufacturer I speak to, trying to find the skilled workforce that they need is a problem. And they're looking to technology to help solve this. And how is Autodesk responding to that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. the issue of workforce development and the skills gap in manufacturing is at the top of mind for many manufacturers, and the good news is that the conversation has been elevated to a critical level and getting lots of attention by the private and public sectors, not only in the USA but everywhere. So, I mean, just to illustrate the problem here, we know that about 3.4 million manufacturing jobs will be needed over the next decade, but only 1.4 million of those 3.4 million jobs are likely to be fulfilled, and not that's because mainly not enough new workers are being trained in the skills needed. So the bottom line is that the industry is expecting a 2 million manufacturing jobs unfulfilled due only to the skills gap. So this is a big problem and a major headache that is keeping leaders in the industry up at night. So there are concerted efforts in most industrialized countries to address the issue of workforce development. For example, in the U.S., we have a Manufacturing USA network of innovation institutes, and which has workforce development at the top of their charter. On a more technical plane, I mean, there are efforts to figure out how to capture and disseminate the expertise of those folks who are retiring from the workforce. For example, and we at Autodesk are looking at these problems, is how to use machine learning to teach algorithms to do what humans do, and also technologies such as augmented reality or virtual reality to help with training, for example, in the factory floor. So the model of the 4 years of college and off you go is not working anymore. I mean, the speed of change has accelerated too much, and we need to figure out how to keep workers up to date. So we have to start viewing education as a lifelong experience, as opposed to a one-time thing at the end of which you stop learning. So also at Autodesk, we have a group that focuses on education, and workforce development is a big topic. I mean, we used to see education just as a primary education, secondary education, but increasingly it's more about keeping professionals up to date and also reskilling current professionals is more and more important.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think we have to work towards retraining and getting people into the STEM curriculums, and we do have to find ways for our existing workforce to adapt to this change. And it's not a one-time thing. It's going to be a constant and ongoing evolution of education.
Yeah, we cannot get away with that anymore. Probably 2-3 decades ago, that was okay, but with the speed of change, that's not a working model anymore.
Right, I agree. It has to be it has to be working towards continuous education, and I think that's great. As millennials get into the workforce, what can manufacturers do to try and attract the biggest, brightest stars of of our educational systems to bring them into manufacturing? I know it's always a challenge. Do you have any recommendations or suggestions for that, or better yet, how is Autodesk?
For the manufacturing companies to attract millennials?
Yeah.
Yes. So I think millennials are, and by the way, soon we will all have to start thinking about Gen Xers, right? So, but millennials in particular, they're attracted to companies by a combination of three main things, I will say. First, the culture of the company. So millennials are looking more for for a collaborative environment, openness, also the mission of the company, and attitudes towards experimentation and failing fast, and the ability to work remotely, the values of the company, sometimes even the political values, interestingly enough. So the culture in general. Then there is the products the company makes. They want to work for a company that is making cool products, basically. They're more connected, they're more intelligent, they have more software and interesting scenarios. And the third factor that attracts the new generation of workers is the technologies the company uses to design and make these products. And this is a key one. Millennials are strongly swayed by the software tools and processes and equipment that are used in the company. They want to be exposed to the latest and greatest and most modern. But more importantly, they want to acquire skills that are easily transferable from one job to another. So the combination of these three are the ones that companies should keep in mind to attract the millennials.
Excellent. Well, we're just about out of time. Diego, thank you so very much for taking time today out of your busy schedule to be here with us. We really appreciate you and Autodesk being willing to spend a little time with us here today at the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast. Again, thank you to our guest, Diego Tamburini, and thank you to our sponsor, Precision Metal Forming Association, and the PMA's Educational Foundation. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.